When people hear that ships and airplanes measure speed in knots instead of miles per hour, it often sounds unnecessary or outdated, like a technical tradition that never bothered to update itself. But knots are not an old-fashioned alternative to miles per hour. They solve a different problem, and that problem has nothing to do with roads or distance on land. A knot is a unit of speed that is directly tied to geography and navigation. 1 knot means 1 nautical mile per hour. A nautical mile is not the same as a regular mile. It is based on the shape of the Earth. Specifically, 1 nautical mile corresponds to 1 minute of latitude on the Earth's surface. This matters because the Earth is a sphere, not a flat grid. When ships and aircraft navigate, they do not think in straight-line road distances. They think in terms of latitude and longitude. Navigation charts are built around the Earth's geometry, not city blocks. Using knots allows speed, position, and time to align naturally on those charts. This connection goes back centuries. Long before modern engines existed, sailors needed a way to estimate speed at sea. They could not rely on landmarks, and currents made distance difficult to judge. Early sailors used a method involving a rope with evenly spaced knots tied into it. The rope was thrown overboard, and the number of knots that passed through a sailor's hands in a fixed amount of time indicated the ship's speed. This is where the term knot comes from. While modern ships no longer use ropes to measure speed, the unit remained because it worked. When navigation evolved, the usefulness of knots became even clearer. On a nautical chart, moving 1 degree of latitude corresponds to 60 nautical miles. That means if a ship is traveling at 60 knots, it will move 1 degree of latitude in 1 hour. The math becomes immediate. Speed, time, and position align without conversion. The same logic applies to aviation. Aircraft operate over long distances, often crossing oceans or continents. Pilots navigate using the same coordinate system as ships. Latitude and longitude define position. Using knots allows pilots to calculate arrival times, fuel consumption, and route planning directly from charts. Miles per hour, while useful on land, do not map cleanly onto the Earth's coordinate system. Roads follow terrain. Ships and planes follow the planet. There is also the issue of consistency. International navigation requires shared standards. A mile can mean different things in different countries, but a nautical mile is defined universally. Knots provide a common language for navigation across borders, oceans, and airspace. This standardization is critical for safety, communication, and coordination. Another important factor is wind and current. Ships and planes move through fluid environments. Water and air are constantly in motion. Using knots helps navigators separate speed through the medium from speed over the ground. This distinction is essential for accurate navigation. Miles per hour does not inherently account for this difference. Knots fit naturally into systems designed to track movement relative to the Earth and its forces. So, ships and planes do not use knots because they are traditional or stubborn. They use knots because knots integrate speed with the way the world is mapped. The unit reflects how humans learned to move across a curved planet long before engines made speed easy. Once you understand that, knots stop feeling strange. They become practical. Miles per hour measure travel on land. Knots measure movement across the Earth itself. And that is why ships and planes never abandoned them. If you enjoyed this explanation, the next story explores another everyday measurement that makes sense only once you understand what problem it was designed to solve. Click on the channel to discover more untold stories behind simple things.